When I was a chef, I'd come home every night after service and pour myself a bowl of cereal. Frosted Flakes, Lucky Charms, Reese Puffs. Didn't matter how fancy the food was that day. At midnight, all I wanted was cereal and my couch. And it turns out that's when the best conversations happen. When the apron's off and you're just a person with a spoon. This is Between Bowls with the Freckled Fork.
Okay, so who picked the Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
I did. Because it's just delicious. If you're gonna have cereal, it should be a treat.
I'm Jess, chef and owner of the Freckled Fort here in New York City, and today I have this lovely badass duo. So excited to talk to you because I feel like you're doing really exciting things.
My name is Kip, and we're in Margot, one of our restaurants, but we also have Montague Diner and Freckled Nights, and then we're opening our third restaurant within the month in the West Village called Cleo. My name's Halley. We met working at our previous hospitality group and then opened our own restaurant group in 2023.
And the name of your restaurant group is
Three Top Hospitality.
Three Top Hospitality. Tell me about the name.
Well, it actually started when we were in Paris, walking around the city, and had probably a little bit too much wine, and we were like, you know what's amazing about Paris? Every table is set for three, and then felt like really definitional about kind of a casual way of dining that's very focused on kind of dining threads of the city. And so we thought that was a really nice thread from thinking about when our group started to bringing it back here. It kind of embodies our philosophy around hospitality, really creating that experience of delight around the dining table.
Yeah, I love that. So you're from South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Same, Carolina girl. Tell me how hospitality was woven into your childhood.
That's a great question. It was incredibly integral. I think growing up in the South is like politeness and manners and welcoming people in, general warmth is like an expectation, something that you're taught from the second you start to speak. But then also, like, I think Southerners do a good job making people feel cared for and doing that in a somewhat of like an effortless way. And I do think that the language of hospitality in the South is food.
Yeah, very Halley.
Yeah, I didn't really go out to eat much growing up, and so it wasn't really until I moved to New York during college to start kind of interning and working that I ever really experienced restaurants. And I remember this kind of like seminal moment. I was actually in Washington, D.C. applying for an internship at like the State Department. I had a very strange vendor. And I like took myself out to eat at this iconic Indian restaurant called Rosico, which still exists. And I had no business being in that room, and I didn't know what I was doing. And the team just took such good care of me that I was actually flabbergasted that this is what a restaurant could be. And from that moment, I just really fell in love with this idea that restaurants really could be a third space, and that it was especially like in the craziness of New York City, like a place that would welcome you in. It was made to create, I think, that sense of a real guest focus around hospitality and making people feel welcome is really what connected me and our mutual.
Yeah, I love that. What's the thing about the industry that almost broke you?
I can kind of say something funny, which is Kip and I met during the pandemic, and I think one thing that just really struck me about Kip was her absolute tenacity and just running at the problem every single day. Like, we were in a really scary operating environment. Kip would be like, you know what? We're here to do a job. We're going to figure out who's going to show up. We're going to figure out how to keep our team safe. And I say that because that was so difficult, and yet she was kind of like unstoppable and kept going. That was really inspiring to me to also do that work. And then we opened our own restaurant. And like, we cannot help but be hustlers, and I think untraditional operators in which like we are not self-funded. Everything that we build is coming from people investing in us, and it's really required us to hustle a lot. So, you know, we quit in 2022. We opened Margot in 2023, but we opened the diner in 2024. But it must felt like it is way too hard to try to just do this alone with like only our own resources.
Yeah.
But it, you know, so that I think that almost broke us, and it also the diner opening was hard. But also, like, I think it made us more expansive. So we really focused at that point on trying to bring other people into the executive team so that we are better resourced to be able to do our job every day.
And then you're opening your third, having your third child in the West Village. And I think they're so different. I used to work for a school, and we talked a lot about the red thread. Like, what's the common thread throughout all three?
Yeah, I mean, I think it all kind of stems back to the way that we treat people. I think like the way that we treat our staff is highly reflective of the way our staff treats our guests. And so I am hopeful that like people feel good working here, they feel good working for us, and I think that translates itself no matter the step of service or like the kind of restaurant you're sitting within. If somebody's making you feel good, that will go a long way. So I think that will always forever be at the forefront of what we do.
I think it's amazing because you're younger and you're women and you have more than one restaurant under your belt at this point, which is very rare in this city. I can count on a hand, you know, women-led restaurant groups. But what would you say are your biggest challenges being in this space? As
Definitely not always treated as great as I would hope. I think the cons of being women in this industry are equal to the pros. I feel like we are at such an advantage, and I think that's how we choose to view it oftentimes. Like, certainly there's a lot of moments where it's like somebody would never say to whoever met, and so like the conversation and the tone of a conversation can be totally different, even if it's a man sitting next to us, which I don't know. But I do think like the pros are incredible. Like, I think our ability to connect with our team is better than I've ever seen before.
There's an innate care of instinct within women that I think really is beautiful when it comes across in a hospitality way with your staff, with your people. They feel that, which is, I think, one of the most powerful things about being a woman in this space.
Yeah. I also think there's like less shame of needing your heart on your sleeve when you're a woman, but I think we're incredibly transparent about the finances of our business, the challenges of operating, the like challenges of investor relations. Like, there's so many things that are so hard about this, and I think it's oftentimes sort of looked down upon if you're really open with your team about it.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, I'd agree. I mean, I think all of the tropes around how women are treated are true, but I think we've gotten a lot of opportunity to know who we are. I think women perhaps have an easier time developing clear lines of communication. So I think a lot of the ways we have an awareness that things are not always easy, discreet, but I think we have the communication tools to kind of work through those moments.
What is your superpower? I'll let each of you answer for the other person.
I'm gonna say Halley's superpower is actually very clear to me. This is immediately came to mind. Halley is an incredible people person. People love Halley, and Halley cares for people really well, which I think is unique. You typically don't get both sides of that coin in a human. But I've never met somebody who has more like friends or a bigger community that she like genuinely invests in. Even like when it comes down to like, handling investors, handling staff, I like Halley has a really natural ability to just care for people, and it made a massive advantage to our company and to our life in general. It just makes it better.
We should do this more often.
I know.
From the second I met Kip, she is literally probably the most intelligent person I know, and I think that translates into the reason we have successful business. And I mean that when we worked in restaurants for a long time, but like opening our business and operating business is so different.
So different.
And watching Kip understand a problem and then master the problem, whether it be how to lead a team, how to hire a team, how to run the financials of the business, like literally from soup to nuts, watching her just be able to like assess the horizon, see what's coming, and you get on top of it is unlike anything I've ever seen. And it absolutely makes us the business we are today and allows us to exist. And I'm extremely grateful.
So nice.
So sweet.
We're still starting.
I know.
I know. I'm having a baby in August, which will
Congrats! I saw that. Which is so fun. When I worked in the restaurant, my daughter was 5, 6, 7 years old,
So
and
fun.
I have so many photos of Millie in the back with her prep, apron
So
on,
fun.
with her hands in the dough, making
That's
focaccia,
awesome.
and like
That's awesome.
there's something really special. On one hand, people I think just assume having kids in restaurants don't mix in that way.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it was really special to see everyone in the restaurant also know
Yeah.
Amelia, and she knew them, and she's got an awareness too that other kids don't.
Totally.
She knows how it works.
Yeah,
back there,
restaurant
you know?
kids are cool. The
Yeah.
restaurant's baby. We're all having the fourth baby.
What do you want people to feel and take away from your restaurants?
I hope that people feel just like happy when they dine in our restaurants. I hope that it just becomes something that's easy. Like I hope people feel welcome. We're just talking about legacy in general. I think service is a real honor, and like taking care of people is a real honor. And I hope that people know we never took that responsibility lightly. Like from a guest perspective, from a staff perspective, taking care of other people is not something we take casually.
Yeah, I really agree. From an external perspective, I also think that we spend as much time thinking about the guest experience as we do about our staff. And, you know, we always want to be as best a training ground as we can be for their goals.
Yeah.
And so I would hope that we are viewed as a place that is great to work because we want to be able to support the next generation that comes after us and doing whatever they do.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like we're really excited for Manhattan, and it feels like it's coming at a time where we are trying to figure out what our growth trajectory looks like. I think Manhattan represents an expansion for us, and you know, I think our group has grown and shifted, and it's a testament to the spaces we've run before. So I think it's going to be like a really lovely opening. I think it also like we really believe in the idea of restaurants as part of the cultural fabric of the city, more than just a standalone industry. And so I think if you look at all of our spaces, we really try to kind of be collaborating with fashion, collaborating with art, collaborating with music in any way that we can. Because we want people to understand restaurants in the cultural, political, and social context. So it's something that's
I love it. When feeding people is so political. I mean, you're providing the most basic human need, you know, which is incredibly important and necessary. And people are always going to need to be fed. And you know, there's a human experience. I saw like when you like go to. Like one of them is Jeffrey's Grocery in West Village, and I loved that place because on my days off, I would just go sit there at the bar and do my New York Times games. Like it's just in New York where there's a bajillion people and there's a bajillion restaurants or places you could go. It's easy to feel lonely and to feel like not known and not seen and not acknowledged. And I think the best restaurants do that well, where they just take care of you and they know you. And for you to go to a space where you feel known and seen is so powerful. And so I think that's what is successful about restaurants like Margot and with Montague. People love these spaces. And I think that says a lot about just the kind of space that you're nurturing.
Yeah, that's
Also, it's amazing that you're doing this series.
I love it.
I just wanted to talk to people and get to like hear their stories. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna bring cereal.
Wait, no, that's a great idea. Yeah, no, that's so nice.
Yeah. I watch these and I'm like, but like, I want to know the hard stuff. Like you guys are doing a very hard thing. Like, it's very hard to be a woman, number one, in this industry. And number two, you're creating spaces, which is amazing. And in New York City, which is fucking hard with all the like regulations and red tape and everything. It's so difficult. I think it's amazing what you're doing. Well, thank you so much.
This is Between Bowls with the Freckled Fork. I wanted to say a huge thank you to my guests Kip and Halley, and also to let you guys know that Cleo is officially open. Head down to the West Village this weekend for the rotisserie chicken and stay for the cornbread. Tell them the Freckled Fork says hey. Until next time, see you turkeys.